Good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to Tech Talk, Ashburn Edition. Today, we're going to go inside the Ashburn data center market and discuss AI demand, power strategy, and what it takes to deploy at the center of it all. Ashburn is the epicenter of digital infrastructure in North America, and demand has never been higher. As AI workloads are increasing power density requirements, organizations need a clear strategy to deploy, scale, and connect in the world's most competitive data center market. Join our Northern Virginia experts for a deep dive into the development pipeline shaping Northern Virginia through 2026 and beyond, activity advantages of one of the most established ecosystems in the world, and the power and partner relationships that separate organizations that move with speed from those that wait. Whether you're entering Ashburn for the first time, expanding an existing footprint, or rethinking your infrastructure strategy for AI, this session will give you the insights and frameworks to move with the confidence in 2026. My name is Daniel Romnowski, and I will be your host. I'm joined today by David George, Senior Solutions Architect here in Northern Virginia. Hey, David, how are you doing today?
Doing well, Daniel. Thank you.
Philip Kianes, Market Manager from our Portfolio Management Group here in Northern Virginia. Hey, Philip, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Daniel. Thank you.
And Jose Alves, Director of Portfolio Management, also native to Northern Virginia. Hey, Jose, how are you?
Hey, Daniel. How's it going? Hey, all.
And thank you to the audience for joining. Jose, I'd like to kick it off with you. You already know that Ashburn matters. What I want to get into today is what this market requires of you in 2026. For someone stepping into it fresh, what should they know?
Thanks, Daniel. That's a good question. So stepping back for a second, here's a high-level overview of digital realty. So first off, Nova is the world's largest data center market, and digital is the largest provider in Northern Virginia, with over 30 data centers and over 800 megawatts of IT capacity. So call it around 15% of market share. Today, that market is tight. It's about 99% occupied, and that's generally consistent with our own portfolio. But with that said, digital does have a future pipeline of, call it, another 1 gigawatt of future IT capacity. So given the tight inventory and the future pipeline, customers need to really start the discussion early. If not, the sooner the better, because most of the future capacity gets pre-leased.
Yeah, so Jose, it sounds like starting the conversations earlier, customers should be aware of the situation in Northern Virginia.
Yep.
David, coming over to you. Let's talk a little demand profile, market direction. What types of organizations are showing up most actively in the market right now? And what does that tell us about where Ashburn is headed over the next few years?
Sure. So Northern Virginia's demand is broad, and it's being driven by things like hyperscalers, enterprises, governments, as well as cloud native and AI-focused organizations. And they're all seeking large footprint, dense interconnectivity, and power-ready campuses. That demand plays directly into Digital Realty's strengths. Our campus model, utility coordination, and global interconnected fabric makes us one of the few operators positioned to support this next wave of cloud and AI expansion. The Northern Virginia market is evolving fast, and Digital Realty is at the center of where it's headed.
And how does proximity to one of the world's largest cloud ecosystems factor into how customers make infrastructure decisions from here?
Well, customers are prioritizing proximity, and being in Northern Virginia lets customers collapse latency, simplify hybrid designs, and taps directly into cloud adjacency. This changes the economics, performance profile, and even the architectural philosophy of the deployments.
And let's talk a little bit about the workloads that you had mentioned there, David.
Mm-hmm.
The Ashburn supports a broad range of workloads: AI inference, hybrid cloud, enterprise, federal, many more. How does that mix shape what customers are asking for on the ground?
Yeah, absolutely. So workload diversity pushes customers to prioritize scalability, low latency, cloud access, and operational consistency. In short, they want a modular power and cooling, predictable cloud adjacency, and an interconnect-rich campus. These are all areas where Digital Realty's Northern Virginia footprint is already built to deliver.
And can we go a little bit into infrastructure, competitive edge? David, someone sits down with you and says, we need to be in Ashburn. Why Digital Realty? And give us the real answer, not the one from the brochure.
Sure. So from a resilient, diverse, ultra-low latency metro fabric that's built to support the challenges of today's AI training, inferencing, and data-intensive traffic flows, to Service Fabric, which is the orchestration engine and the network fabric that transforms a deployment in Northern Virginia into an interconnected node on a global network instead of just a standalone facility. Because private, real-time connectivity and orchestration between customers, partners, hyperscalers, and neoclouds that extends beyond the campus delivers meaningful performance and cloud benefits.
David, it sounds like connectivity and Service Fabric, these are real differentiators for Digital Realty. I've also heard of Digital Realty's platform, Digital. Would you mind sharing a little bit with us about that?
Sure. So Ashburn isn't just where customers place infrastructure. It's where they bring everything together. When they deploy in Platform Digital, it becomes the anchor point for their global architecture, connecting cloud, AI, enterprise workloads into one cohesive environment. In short, one footprint, one platform that connects you everywhere.
Sounds great. Even better, it sounds simple.
It really is.
Philip, back to you, sir. Let's talk a little capacity planning, market development. Digital Realty spans Ashburn, Sterling, Reston area. How should customers think about which locations make the most sense for their specific workload or their growth strategy?
Sure. Yeah, and I'll break it down from a real estate guy's perspective. So the way I think about how customers plan their deployments is surrounded in three large buckets. The first is storage. That's going to be like your drop boxes. And then the next is the compute. That's going to be more high dense AI workloads, which obviously the industry is shifting towards, and it's getting quite a bit of attention in this market. And then the last is networking, and having that adjacency to an AWS on-ramp. I think for the latter two, for compute and in networking, there's a decent amount of runway, especially on the networking side, where you've got sort of this low KW capacity requirements and high connectivity. And digital has a lot of runway to be able to support those types of deployments. And we're also making shifts towards liquid cooling and even the high dense stuff too. So it's really all on the table, but depending on what the deployment is, might redirect a customer from one market to another. For some of the smaller customers, as we have less contiguous capacity to sell, a bit of advice is that they should plan to stay focused on that connectivity portion of the deployment and even be prepared to scoop up pockets of available inventory. As it relates to timing, they should focus on accelerating timing. And if there's available capacity, to take the capacity as is and try and accelerate those deployments. And really work with our solution engineers to make sure the connectivity platform fits through our Service Fabric platform. And these conversations really, they should start before the requirements are finalized and not after. Shifting towards larger customers, there's certainly build-to-suit options and private suites available. Typically, that's a little further down the road. But just for the customer's perspective to just remain flexible with those deployments, and because we're seeing most of our mature customers reach out and asking for power needs, call it 8 to 14 months ahead of when they actually need to deploy.
Yeah, Philip, that's great and really great advice there. So customers should look at their workloads, their applications, understand their timing needs, have conversations earlier, understanding their requirements and having these conversations before they're finalized. And really great feedback there. Thank you. David,
Sure.
coming back to you. AI cloud, putting real solutions into action. AI is front and center in every infrastructure conversation. We know that. But Ashburn is where a significant portion of the world's AI infrastructure lives. How does AI demand show up differently here than in any other market? And can you share a little bit more on the innovation lab that you have here in Ashburn?
Sure, absolutely. So for enterprises, high density is the new baseline in Northern Virginia. And Digital Realty is engineering for that reality at scale. The Digital Realty Innovation Lab provides customers with a low-risk, proof-of-concept environment where customers can bring their most demanding AI and HPC concepts. It allows them to validate their high-density designs, cooling strategies, and AI and HPC architectures. And once all that's dialed in, that same configuration migrates directly into Northern Virginia campuses. So no redesigns, no surprises, just a clean path from concept to production.
That's exciting. So it sounds like an opportunity to test it, to prove it before you invest into it.
Yeah, absolutely. And the advantage is that the Northern Virginia drill is our first, and right now the most interconnected one available. So it's really, kind of ground level for any new innovation and designs that you might be looking at.
Very cool. Very cool. When customers are thinking about AI and cloud compute together, how does Service Fabric help bring all those pieces together?
So Service Fabric, as I mentioned earlier, an orchestration engine, and really focuses on delivering the unified connectivity for AI, cloud, and compute, really simplifying architectures and eliminating those silos, right? It streamlines data flows across GPU clusters, cloud regions, and enables integrations and predictable hybrid and AI deployments. So really, at the end of the day, it's about simplification and streamlining.
Exciting. David, I'd like to stay on you. Good momentum here. Let's talk a little bit about resiliency, scale, finding a trusted partner. Sustainability and efficiency are real considerations for large scale deployments. How does Digital Realty's approach show up in Northern Virginia?
Yeah, so Digital Realty shows up in Northern Virginia with a highly efficient design, smarter cooling, and tight coordination with local utilities to reduce environmental impacts at scale. The result is a large high-density capacity delivered with strong, sustainable focused performance.
And I imagine operating 30 plus facilities at this scale means consistency and reliability are not accidental. How does Digital Realty maintain that standard?
So Digital Realty maintains that standard through a true 24/7, 365-day operations that's supported by a global NOC and a deeply standardized process across 30 plus facilities. Hyperscale reliability isn't just a goal, it's a baseline. And our entire operating model is built to deliver that every single day.
And what does choosing the right infrastructure partner mean in a market where the margin for error is so small?
In a market this unforgiving, choosing the right partner means picking someone with a proven market operational record. And Digital Realty has more than 2 decades experience operating in Loudoun County, with deep collaborations with local authorities and a proven commitment to the community that gives customers confidence when the margins are so tight.
Fantastic. And great to hear, David. Thank you so much. Philip, Jose, coming back to you with a couple of rapid fire questions since we had David there on the mic. 1 second each. Philip, if a customer is evaluating Ashburn for the first time, what is the first thing they need to understand about this market before they start?
Well, I'd say if you get a proposal, things move quickly. So consider accepting it quickly because it's probably stacked up against multiple opportunities.
And Jose, how do you respond to that?
I agree with Philip. On top of that, based on today's market environment, rates are likely going to be less today than they will be tomorrow.
Excellent. Second question. And for customers already deployed here, what should they be doing right now to stay ahead of demand and protect their infrastructure roadmap? Philip.
Well, okay. So if they're already an existing customer, chances are they're tapped in a little bit more into some available capacity than the rest of the market. So they'll know when capacity is available before the market does, and that's an advantage.
How about you, Jose?
Thanks, Daniel. Well, if they're existing customers, we welcome the opportunity to work with our existing customers, be it in the same building or across our campus. So just reach out to any of our team members and to discuss.
Awesome. In great context from each of you. Truly thank you for sharing your insights. If there's one takeaway from today's discussion, it's that Ashburn remains the center of gravity for digital infrastructure, but success in this market looks very different than it did a few years ago. The conversation is no longer about finding space. It's about securing the power, planning capacity earlier, supporting AI architectures, and connecting workloads seamlessly across cloud, enterprise, partner ecosystems. What we've heard today is the organizations that start planning early gain more flexibility, more strategic options, and ultimately a clearer path to growth. The most successful deployments are being designed well before requirements become urgent. That's where Digital Realty can help. If you're evaluating future growth, power requirements, or expansion strategies, we invite you to engage with one of our solution architects through a PDX visualizer session. Together, we can build capacity requirements, evaluate growth scenarios, and help align infrastructure decisions to your business roadmap. And if you're further along in the process and looking to build and validate a specific solution, our solutions engineers can walk you through a PDX builder session to design deployments that align with your workload, connectivity, performance, and resiliency requirements. And of course, there's no substitute for seeing these things firsthand. We encourage you to visit the Digital Realty Innovation Lab here in Ashburn, where customers can validate designs, explore high-density AI solutions, and experience our partner ecosystems in action. Whether in Ashburn or one of our other innovation labs across the world, we'd welcome the opportunity to show you what's possible. Thank you to Philip, Jose, and David for sharing their perspectives today, and thank you to everyone for joining us. As we wrap up, we invite you to continue the conversation in our chat room, where the team here will be available to answer any questions. Thank you again for your time. We will see you on the next Tech Talk.